Hello Legion, this is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Civilization 6 Rise and Fall in our Strategy School series. The intent with this episode was, and still is, to cover the three basic resource types in the game now that we've revealed all three. And after that, I was going to play until I discovered a neighboring civilization, play until we met some barbarians, which is particularly important to cover early on, or play until we met a city-state, and then have kind of a discussion maybe about all three of those topics in the next episode. So what I'm going to have to do is, rather than doing any kind of playing, we've already met a neighboring civilization and already even talked a little bit about the interactions that you can have when you first meet them. Now, that's just based on their initial dialogue. I haven't talked about what happens once you go in and try and contact that civilization again, and I want to start an episode with that kind of a topic. So since that happened, a little bit out of order, thanks Trajan, appreciate that, I am instead going to focus purely on bonus resources, luxury resources, and strategic resources this episode, and that's it. So it's going to be a little bit shorter. We're just going to talk about these things and how they're important. We've already mostly covered bonus resources, so I'm going to recap really quickly just for the sake of covering that information in the episode with resources in the title. But then we're going to stop. I'm not going to give any orders. I'm not going to give any kinds of instructions to Uruk or my units, and we'll talk more about diplomacy and making some more moves, looking for some barbarians and city-states in the next episode, and hopefully talk about all three of those things in one. So, again, bonus resources have been mostly covered already. These are critical for your productivity in terms of basic tile yields. They're color-coded in gold, so anytime you see a bonus resource, you know that this is going to help you with the basic yield that is inherent to that tile. For instance, this is a plains tile that currently only produces 1 food and 1 production if it were worked by a citizen. If it has a wheat bonus resource on top of it, it would be 2 food, 1 production. If you build a farm on any of these tiles, this would bolster the food production by 1, so this would be 2 food, 1 production. This would be 3 food, 1 production. You can also harvest these, as we've discussed. So if I go to the tech tree, and we scroll back to pottery, you can harvest wheat, rice, and other bonus resource types for a one-time lump sum in that particular yield, which really helps you out if you are wanting to grow a city instantly, to finish a building project instantly, and so forth. And that's what bonus resources are all about. Again, we've mostly covered this already. The one thing that I haven't mentioned when it comes to bonus resources, though, is that the improvements associated with these resources, so quarries for stone, farms for these, can be customized by Pantheon and religious bonuses, which we'll be getting to very, very soon. And they can be customized with yield types that aren't even inherent to them. For instance, you can give certain improvement types culture and science yields. You can also make all of the current yield types more valuable, in some cases, using the bonuses that you get from making Pantheon and religious choices. So the bonus resources can have some interesting interactions with what you pick from your astrological, shall we say, inclinations once you finish this research and start building towards a pantheon and a religion. But understanding those things, playing through the pantheon and the religious system a couple of times can really help you in terms of what resources to go for early on, or vice versa, what resources you've gone for in the early game will help influence the choices that you make once you have a religion. I digress, that's a little bit of a separate topic, but the point is the bonus resources can be customized in interesting ways that will even be more appreciated by you once you've played a little bit more of Civilization 6. So, next resource type. Strategic resources are in red, and as you might guess from the red color coding, since it's similar to the red coding of the military policy cards we talked about in the last episode, these are associated primarily with your military progress in the game, and they are required for the construction of and upgrading to more advanced military units. For instance, you're going to need horses if you want to build horsemen, but an advanced example, which we covered last time, was that once we've unveiled iron, we're going to need those, and we're going to need them improved in order to build a swordsman unit, or upgrade our existing warrior to a swordsman unit. Strategic resources must not only be in your territory, so if we want these horses, we're going to have to get a city over here, but they also have to be improved in order for you to benefit from the strategic resource. Once you've improved them, you're going to need cities with encampments or harbors. Those are military or naval training districts, of course, to build the advanced units. If you have 2, however, of any given strategic resource, so if I had 2 horses, I wouldn't need the encampment or harbor. If it was a coastal city, and it was a naval unit that required 2 of a certain resource type, as long as I had 2 in my empire total, because these are empire-wide, they're not city-specific, once I had 2 in the empire, and you would actually see them up here even to indicate that, hey, you have 2 of these, Doesn't matter, don't need the special district, I can just train that unit anywhere as long as I have 2. So horses are the only one, though, as you might already kind of be guessing from what we're talking about, they're the only one that are visible from the start of the game. The rest of them, like iron for instance, have to be unlocked with technology. One caveat of this mechanic is that you might occasionally build a city or a district on top of an unrevealed strategic resource. You literally don't know it's there. There's no way for you to know it's there. So you might be thinking, well, what happens? Do we lose it? How am I going to get I can't, wouldn't the city have to be like raised in order for me to take advantage of that? No, of course not. If you have a city or a district on top of an unrevealed resource and that resource gets revealed, you will get that resource in the same way as you would if the tile were improved. However, the same benefit does not apply to tile improvements, which are different from cities and districts. Because cities and districts you can't click a button unless you do conquer it and raise the city. You can't click a button and remove that tile yield. But if you had a farm, say, on top of this tile here, and then it turned out there was actually something underneath this, like maybe there's some iron here. There's not going to be. Iron would be on a hill tile. So let's say you had a mine on this tile. That's a better example. And you unveiled iron. Automatically, you would start getting iron. On the other hand, though, if you had a tile improvement that did not match the resource that was revealed underneath it, you would need to send a builder, you would need to remove that improvement, which you can do, and then build the new improvement type on top of it. So that's a very, very important distinction between tile improvements being on top of unrevealed strategic resources and cities or districts being on top of unrevealed strategic resources. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask in the comments. So I think that actually covers it for strategic resources as well. That's kind of the long and short of it. And of course, we're going to play through this campaign and you'll see more demonstration as we play. But the final type, and I'm really excited actually by how this has played out because there are some really important distinctions and details of the luxury resource mechanics, which this particular map has given me a good example to start with. The final type of resource that we have to talk about before we end this episode is luxury resources. Luxury resources are important to both the happiness of your citizens, which leads to some of the city bonuses we've covered. So let me just remind you really quickly, if we go to Uruk here and look again, because our city is happy, we are getting a 10% citizen growth bonus and a 5% non-food yield bonus. It's all about happiness when it comes to luxury resources, but they're also important to trade, and we'll talk about that in terms of this example as well. Like bonus resources, tile improvements over luxury resources can be improved using religious and technological bonuses as well. So if you have, say, tile improvements over these citrus tiles, then you can make specific choices that allow you to customize the yields of the improvements, which is quite nice. It doesn't customize the yield of the resource type, but of the improvement on top of the resource type. That's an important distinction because you only get that custom yield once you've improved the tile. And you can obtain luxury resources by improving luxury resource tiles, or becoming the suzerain of certain city-states, or by using certain great people. So there's different ways to get luxury resources apart from just getting them on the map. You can also get them via trade, in the same way that you can get strategic resources via trade. Luxury and strategic resources, again, are both empire-wide. You will see up here that you have multiple, one or more of any given luxury and resource type, or at least for strategic resources you will. For luxury resources, you have to go into the reports screen, go to resources, and you'll see a lot of information on this screen that will be more useful to you once you have more of a game going and you want to see what we've got. Right now, of course, we just have sheep. That's our one resource that we control. And this information will, again, be a lot more helpful to you once there's more to show. I'm going to go into detail more on amenities and happiness in a coming episode. For now, think of amenities simply as commodities that enhance quality of life, and luxury resources provide amenities to your cities. For now, as a beginner, the important thing for you to know is this, and this map, again, has given me a great opportunity to give you an example. While it can be useful for things like trade to control more than one of a single luxury resource type, right now we have 3 citrus and nothing else in view, each luxury resource only contributes to the happiness of your empire once. Let that sink in. So if I improved all 3 of these citrus tiles, I wouldn't have any more happiness in my empire, no matter how many cities I had, than I had with 1 citrus tile improved. Not saying there are no benefits, but I wouldn't have any more happiness, because think about it. The people already have oranges. What they need in order to be happy is more variety. So it's not about having bunches and bunches of one particular resource type to make your citizens happy. You have to have a variety of luxuries to really have the required number of amenities to have your empire be diverse and happy in terms of their amenities and their quality of life. It is going to be important for you early on to settle near and improve a variety of luxury resources quickly. Otherwise, your empire is going to be unhappy, especially if you choose a growth focus and you grow quickly, have a lot of citizens. Again, we'll talk more about this in a future episode, but it's all based on how many citizens you have. If the citizen growth of your population, of your entire empire, is outpacing the rate at which you're bringing in variety of luxury resources, you're going to have a happiness problem. So you can't harvest luxury resources either. You can't harvest strategic or luxury resources, but you're more likely to see gold, faith, or culture, or even science-related bonuses from luxury resources than you are from strategic or from bonus resources. These are focused more on food and production bonuses when you improve them. But if you improve luxury resources, you might get some more exotic tile yield bonuses. So another useful reason for you to control 2 or more strategic or luxury resources, apart from what I mentioned earlier about having 2 or more strategic resources to train your units anywhere you want, is that you can trade your excess, anything beyond 1 of a strategic or luxury resource, away to other civilizations for 30 turns. Not unlike trading cards in a way. So for a limited number of turns, you can give up whatever benefits you might have. Unless you're keeping 1 or 2 of the resource after trading it, you'll still get the benefit from what you're keeping. But you will trade away the excess in exchange for something another civilization might give you, which might be their own luxury resource, it might be gold, or it might be some diplomatic benefit. So that's something to keep in mind with resources as far as building up several of one resource type. It's not bad to have 3 citrus resource tiles, you just have to kind of be careful with it. One thing that I want to make sure I cover before I end this episode, however, is a very important detail about luxury and strategic resource control that I personally failed to grasp for over 100 hours of playing Civilization 6. Once I figured this out, it really changed the way that I saw resource management and resource pursuit in general, because it made things simpler. So I want to make sure that this is understood, because I think this misunderstanding could apply to more than just me. You don't have to have a strategic resource or a luxury resource within 3 tiles of your city to reap the rewards in the same way that you do the tile yield bonuses that you get from your citizens working those tiles. As long as you improve a luxury or strategic resource, Uruk can own a tile. They might even own this citrus resource eventually, which is 4 tiles away from the city center. A citizen will never be able to get the yields from that tile, but if it's improved and in Uruk's territory, it will still count as a luxury resource for Uruk. Same as if I had a city within 4 tiles of this horse's resource. As long as you have it improved and it's in your territory, you will gain the benefits from that luxury or strategic resource, period. You don't have to have it within 3 tiles in the same way that you do your workers. And I just wanted to make sure that that was covered before I wrap this one up. Having said that, I will go ahead and stop this episode here. Again, we're going to talk about diplomacy and barbarians and city-states a little bit in the next episode, and we want to kick it off by talking about how to interact with Trajan now that we've met him. If you have any questions about resources, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.